A woman is accusing Sean Diddy Combs of and her when she was 16 years old in 2000.
In the meantime, let's go back to New York City. Want to get some updates on the case that is unfolding there regarding Sean Diddy Combs.
In a shocking twist, Janice Combs, the steadfast matriarch of the Combs family, has mysteriously vanished. Known for her unwavering support of her son, Diddy, even amid his legal battles, her sudden disappearance has left friends, family, and the public scrambling for answers. This is no ordinary case of someone taking a break. Janice's departure feels calculated, as if she's running from something or someone. For weeks, Janice was a vocal defender of Diddy, condemning the legal allegations against him as a public lynching and urging the public not to judge him prematurely. She portrayed herself as a heartbroken mother, determined to stand by her son through thick and thin. Her recent disappearance has raised even more questions. Why would someone so vocal in her defense suddenly flee the country without a trace? This isn't just a personal crisis, it could have far-reaching consequences for the Combs family. The answers, possibly buried in Janice's past, may unlock deeper secrets, pointing to a much larger story than anyone initially anticipated. With her sudden and secretive exit, the question on everyone's mind is, what could have driven her to disappear so suddenly, and what does it mean for the future of the Combs family?
That kind of environment growing up in is going to have an impact on a child growing up. Now, it doesn't make excuses for what people do in adulthood, and the form that can take really depends on a lot of different things, including things such as what are the family values? Are the family values about, being open and honest about things, or if there's trauma in a family, do families deal with it, or how is that child raised?
Rumors have long swirled around Janice Combs' connection to Diddy's alleged misdeeds, particularly regarding wild parties hosted at their Mount Vernon home when Diddy was a child. Childhood friends, including longtime friend Tim Patterson, have spoken out, describing these gatherings as chaotic and unsettling. Patterson claimed it wasn't unusual for children to walk into rooms where disturbing activities took place. He suggested that growing up in such an environment could have influenced Diddy's behavior, potentially laying the foundation for the allegations now haunting him.
According to the Rolling Stone, the doc features an alleged childhood friend of Puff's, hip-hop producer Tim Dog Patterson. He alleged that Janice, Diddy's mom, would often throw parties at Diddy's childhood home. He says that during the parties, it wasn't uncommon to walk into rooms where adults was having that was just their norm.
Janice has always been portrayed as a fiercely protective mother, determined to give Diddy a better life. She sent him to private schools, dressed him well, and moved the family to a nicer neighborhood after his father's death. But how does this image align with the stories of those chaotic parties? Could Janice have been trying to provide for her son in the only way she knew, even if it meant overlooking the surrounding chaos? Or was she more deeply involved in that lifestyle than anyone ever realized? The questions continue to grow.
Talking about the parties, Tim says, verbatim, that's what we were privy to. This was what we were fed. Was it desensitizing us? I'm sure it was. Were we aware of it? No, that was just Saturday night. In the doc, per Rolling Stone, this type of childhood is alleged to be why Tim, the longtime friend of Diddy's, Puff believes that Puff found himself in the position he is in now.
The timing of Janice's disappearance raises even more suspicion. Just as the pressure on Diddy's legal battles intensified, with more accusers coming forward and documentaries painting a damning picture, Janice vanished. It's hard to believe this is merely a coincidence. Insiders suggest her sudden departure might be an attempt to avoid being pulled into the legal mess. If those wild childhood parties were as out of control as reported, she could be called to testify, which raises the question, what would she say under oath? But it doesn't stop there. Sources claim that Janice didn't leave quietly. She reportedly took a significant amount of money with her, money Diddy could desperately need to cover his mounting legal fees. If true, it paints a troubling picture of her motives. Was she fleeing out of fear, or was she cutting ties and securing her own future while she had the chance? Either way, her departure leaves a major void in Diddy's support system when he needs it most.
I think another question that we just can't ignore is the role of power. Because one question is, how does somebody become the way they are? And then another question is, how are they allowed to stay the way that they are? And I think that also speaks to this kind of, lack of accountability.
Janice's sudden departure has sent shockwaves through the Combs family, particularly Diddy's children. Already thrust into the media spotlight due to their father's legal troubles, they now face the emotional toll of their grandmother's abandonment. Janice was a constant presence in their lives, attending red carpet events and family gatherings. Her absence has left a deep void, with insiders describing the family dynamic as shattered, raising questions about how this will affect their views of both Diddy and Janice.
Everyone keeps saying to me, like, how did you keep, why did you keep going? Why were you there? I'm like, it literally is around me. If I don't stay at home, this is the atmosphere I'm in. Like, I have no choice.
The FBI is reportedly monitoring Janice's disappearance closely. While she hasn't been charged with any crimes, her connection to Diddy's case makes her a potential person of interest. Some insiders believe it's only a matter of time before her name is added to a wanted list, especially if she's hiding information crucial to the investigation. For now, her whereabouts remain a mystery. Some speculate she's in Europe, while others think she may be in the Caribbean. Regardless of her location, she's managed to stay off the grid in today's hyper-connected world, a feat in itself. The broader implications of her escape are troubling. While Janice has publicly defended Diddy, her actions suggest self-preservation, and possibly guilt. Could she know more than she's letting on? If so, her disappearance could make it harder for Diddy's legal team to argue he's a victim of circumstance, especially when one of his biggest defenders has seemingly turned her back on him. Janice's departure also raises questions about her legacy. Once a symbol of resilience, a single mother who raised a mogul against all odds, her sudden disappearance threatens to tarnish that image. It highlights how even the most carefully constructed facades can crumble under pressure. As the story unfolds, Janice's escape adds yet another layer to an already complex situation. Whether she's running from the law, the media, or her own conscience, her actions have left a trail of questions that may never be fully answered. With her gone, Diddy now faces his legal battle without the woman who's been his rock for decades. The ripple effects are just beginning, and the consequences could be far-reaching.
Actually thought that he was above the law, so I can only, think that, he was sloppy in the way that he did these crimes, that there's probably a trail of evidence, not only involving him, but everybody in his circle that he would, delegate these responsibilities to, and those people are one.
Diddy's legal battles are intensifying, with charges ranging from coercion to orchestrating disturbing gatherings, and they seem to grow more damning daily. On the criminal side, the allegations are piling up, but it's the civil lawsuits that are particularly overwhelming. Attorney Tony Busby is reportedly representing 120 accusers, yes, 120. This staggering number alone is enough to make anyone's head spin. Despite Diddy's legal team working tirelessly to deny the claims and portray him as a victim of exaggeration, the sheer volume of cases is impossible to ignore, adding increasing pressure to his already strained defense.
I feel like we're almost becoming numb to the lawsuit after the lawsuit after the lawsuit. And do all of the allegations against Combs so far that we've seen make the claims here, these new claims, do you think it makes it more or less?
Janice's sudden departure adds another layer of complexity to Diddy's legal troubles. She wasn't just a source of emotional support, she was a key defender, publicly calling the allegations of public lynching and backing Diddy's character. Her statements were integral to his defense strategy. Now, with her disappearance, it feels as though even his closest allies are distancing themselves. Though no one's outright saying it, the growing whispers suggest Janice may know something others don't. Could her vanishing be tied to a hidden piece of the puzzle, one that could change everything in Diddy's case?
And because the 8 people in the videos, the 8 celebrities in the videos, were allegedly victims of crimes, we know who they are, but we will not be naming them, famous or not.
Diddy's financial situation is becoming increasingly dire. Insiders report that he's facing a cash flow crisis that could undermine his ability to mount a strong defense. Legal battles are expensive, and with the high-profile nature of his case, he needs top-tier lawyers, yet his funds are dwindling. Allegedly, Janice took a significant amount of his remaining money when she fled, further stretching his resources. On top of that, costly settlements continue to drain his fortune, with each payout leaving less for his defense. making it harder to navigate the mounting legal challenges.
Well, first of all, I can only imagine how sloppy Sean Combs was with evidence when he got busted with those 2 machine guns or 3 machine guns with the altered serial numbers. So I really don't trust Sean Combs or the people around him's ability to properly cover up anything. So I envision that you're going to see a trial, payments from his Amex for flights for people, straight payments directly from his company to people.
Diddy's financial strain goes beyond legal fees. His once thriving business empire is now showing cracks. From his music label, to fashion ventures, and his spirits brand, everything is under scrutiny. Sponsors are pulling back, partnerships are dissolving, and even loyal collaborators are distancing themselves. It's a domino effect, with the downfall of one piece threatening to bring down the entire structure of his empire.
Time frame is important because this happened in hotels, in places that have surveillance, that there's records that could be consistent with his testimony about when he alleges that these parties took place. He probably has his own information about who attended the events. When you're somebody like Sean Combs and you're such a celebrity and you're engaged in this type of behavior, people around you are memorializing it on their own.
Janice's disappearance has left a gaping hole in the Combs family dynamic. Her absence is particularly hard on Diddy's children, who are already struggling with the media circus surrounding their father. Janice was always a central figure, the glue that held the family together, attending school events, red carpet appearances, and family vacations. Her sudden departure feels like abandonment, and it's left the family reeling. One insider described the atmosphere in the household as tense and fractured, with everyone walking on eggshells, unsure of what's coming next. The void left by Janice's exit is deeply felt.
And he is very, very dominant. Like, he wants to control the situation. He wants to control his inner circle. He wants to make everyone have a good time and enjoy his parties. And so, it is scary because you think, this person or possibly his social network or the people he's around could make or break your career.
The emotional toll of Janice's disappearance is being felt deeply, not just within the family, but by Diddy himself. Sources close to the music mogul say he's struggling with feelings of betrayal and confusion, questioning why his mother would leave at such a critical time. Her departure has reportedly left him questioning everything he thought he knew about his upbringing and the people he trusted most. It's a devastating blow, and it couldn't have come at a worse moment in his already tumultuous life. What makes this situation even more complicated is the role of public opinion. Diddy has always been a master of controlling his narrative, using his charisma and influence to shape how the world perceives him. But this time, the narrative seems to be slipping from his grasp. Social media is ablaze with theories and speculation, with hashtags like #DiddyDownfall and #CombsChaos trending daily. Some fans are rallying behind him, insisting he's the victim of a smear campaign, while others point to the mounting evidence and question how much more needs to be revealed before people start believing the accusations. The public's shifting perception adds another layer of pressure.
But it will be up to the jury, and there's really another piece of this case, and that's the racketeering case, and they don't really talk about that. Diddy's attorneys, Sean Combs' attorneys, they stay away from the racketeering part of this. They are focused solely on the trafficking part of this case.
Documentaries like Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy and The Fall of Diddy have been streaming on platforms like Wildfire, portraying Diddy's empire as built on secrets and scandal. Each new film uncovers more revelations, witnesses, and reasons to question his legacy. While his legal team dismisses these films as sensationalized, they can't deny their impact on public perception. In the court of public opinion, perception is reality, and right now, the reality looks grim for Diddy.
Well, certainly there's a lot of information that needs to be substantiated, investigated, and those kinds of things. But when we look at people who become offenders, we oftentimes see early exposure to whether that's or actual behavior, and we oftentimes see that within the family.
One of the most damning aspects of the documentaries is how they link Diddy's past to his present. Childhood friends like Tim Patterson have shared stories of wild gatherings at Janice's house, suggesting that the seeds of Diddy's current troubles were planted long ago. While Diddy has been open about his difficult upbringing, these new revelations cast his past in a much darker light. It's one thing to overcome adversity, but another to perpetuate the same painful behaviors.
So remember when I said Diddy mother might be the originator of the freak-offs? All right, so apparently tomorrow there's the Peacock is dropping the Diddy documentary. It's called Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy, and the doc gets into Diddy's childhood and his experience growing up in connection to the lawsuit and assault allegations he's currently facing.
Even more chilling are the testimonials from former employees, ex-partners, and industry insiders, individuals who were once part of Diddy's inner circle. Their stories paint a picture of a man who used his power and influence to get what he wanted, often at others' expense. Whether it's former girlfriends recounting troubling encounters or employees describing a toxic work environment, the narrative is consistent. Diddy thrived on control, and when that control was challenged, things turned ugly.
You know, if you say the wrong thing or you complain or you know, I don't know, there's an element where you're just, I guess manipulated in a way to make you feel like, oh, you have to please everyone around you. You can't say anything wrong. You don't want to say a bad thing, or, you know, when they're constantly asking, would you like to do drugs? And you're like, well, I don't do drugs. And they're like, well, why don't you do drugs?
Janice Combs' role in all of this can't be overlooked. While she's often been portrayed as a loving but flawed mother, her sudden disappearance raises critical questions about what she really knew. Was she aware of the allegations against Diddy before they became public? Did she, either directly or indirectly, play a part in enabling some of his troubling behavior? If so, does her departure signal guilt or simply a desire to protect herself? These are questions that may never have clear answers, but they only add to the complexity of this already convoluted story. As Diddy's trial date draws closer, the stakes couldn't be higher. It's not just about clearing his name anymore. It's about salvaging what's left of his legacy. With each new revelation, every lawsuit, and now the added drama of his mother's disappearance, it's becoming harder to see a clear path forward. His once unstoppable empire, once a symbol of triumph and resilience, now feels like a fragile house of cards, teetering on the brink of collapse. Yet, despite everything, there's still a lingering uncertainty. Will Diddy be able to turn things around, or is this the beginning of the end for one of hip-hop's most iconic figures? Will Janice resurface to explain her actions, or will her disappearance remain one of the great unanswered questions of this saga? As the storm continues to rage, one thing is clear: this story is far from over. Stay tuned, because with the Combs family, life is anything but predictable.